Hello and welcome back to our How to Create a Landscape series. Today we'll be going over some materials and also get into trees and foliage. So to begin with, we go up to Window and then we're going to go down to Fab. Now if you haven't signed in to Fab before, you're not already signed in, you may have to do so. As you can see in the top right, I am signed in. So after this, we're going to go Materials and Textures, and then we're going to go over to the Price tab and click Free. Then we're going to pick this first box here. We can open it up and it's called MW Landscape Auto Material. I'll also try and link this in the description. So afterwards, we're going to select a license and choose the free personal one. As long as you're making under 100K of revenue, you're all good to go. And then we can just add that to our project. Now this may take a little bit of time, so just let it go. Okay, after the assets have been installed, it will add this new folder down here, MW Landscape Auto Material. We'll open that up, Materials, Landscape, and then it does give us 3 options here. We can kind of decide on which one we like. Afterwards, we can select our landscape, go down to the landscape material. I'm just going to remove it and get back to that gray. And then we can drag in our material. So as you can see, it instantly applies a more realistic texture. And if I cycle through these, you can see the different results. So I'm just going to keep us on this middle one here. Now if I zoom out on the landscape here and I raise it up, you can see how this material affects our landscape. So if it's too far up on the Z-axis, it'll all be snow. And if I lower it, you can gradually see that it gets to sea level. And then once it gets under the sea, obviously we can't see it anymore because I have the ocean enabled. And if we want to manually sculpt on this, we can do so as well. So we just have to come up here to the selection mode and change it back to landscape. And I'm gonna add another new layer just because I can. And if I begin to sculpt, you can see that the material gets updated in real time. So if I elevate the ground a little bit, it does bring that rock and snow texture in. And if I hold shift and decrease the landmass, then it gets to the dirt. Alright, so now that we've completed that material overview, next we're going to want to begin adding some trees. So we're going to come back up to the window, go back into our Fab, and we just want to come up to the search bar here. And if we search up Quixel Tree, then we get a couple bundles we can choose to download. I'm going to select this European beach one and add it to the project. Now, one thing to note about these Quixel files is that they're very large. So when it's downloading here, you're going to have to give it a few minutes. If you want to make dinner or lunch, now would be the time to do so. The assets have been installed. We'll get this new folder, European Beach. We can open up the geometry, go into Simple Wind, and then we have all of our trees right here. Now if I try and just drag one of these out and place it, it's going to have to load the asset and the shaders, so you're going to have to bear with it for a moment. Alright, so now that our asset is down, we can select it and then press F on our keyboard. And as you can see, we got a nice looking tree here, super realistic. And if I hit play over here, we can see that the tree disappears. This is because the Unreal Engine doesn't exactly like our foliage being placed down like this. So I'll show you where to go next. Alright, so we're going to go up here, and instead of going to landscape, we're going to go to the foliage mode. And then we're going to drag our tree in that we previously used. If I drag a new one in here, it's going to load the entire asset again, so you'll just have to give it a second. And now that we have both of these in, you see these check marks here. This enables us to paint or not paint the selected foliage. And if we come over to the paintbrush and click down, as you notice, it places a ton of them there, and that's just because our paint density is too high. So I'm going to increase the size and change the density around and just configure it till I get something that I like. So here I am just kind of painting away, adding some trees to the landscape. If instead we just want to place one down, what we can do is go over to this single tab, and then every time we click, we'll place one down. So I'm just going to go ahead and fill the rest of this landscape out with some trees. And now that we've got our landscape painted with some trees, well, we can see the total number down here. It's around 170. but all these trees may not be placed exactly how we want them to. So if I come down over here, you can see that this tree is on a pretty harsh angle. Now trees can form on angles like this, but may not look realistic. And also this one is a pretty sharp angle. So we can go over to the remove tab and we can just search around for some trees that we don't like, and we can click and get rid of them. So I'm just gonna go around and continue to do this. All right, so now that I've got everything taken care of, I'm gonna come down over here and click play. And as I walk through the environment, our trees are here, our realistic textures down, and the world's coming together. The one thing that we're missing though is there's no grass. It's all rocks here. So to fix that, we're just gonna go over to our content browser where we found that tree, and we're gonna scroll down, and there's a couple foliage things here. So I'm just gonna select 3 of them and drop them into the foliage type. And I'm gonna uncheck our trees so they won't spawn when I paint down. Once we got all those, we can mess around with our brush size and density and begin placing our grass. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do this. Now when we click play, we notice that our trees stay in the area. That's because we use the foliage, and we also have some grass here. Now there could be more variants. It could interact with the wind, but those are more advanced features. I'm trying to keep this light. But yeah, hopefully your landscape is looking nice, and in the next episode we'll be taking a look at cinematic shots and how to render out your animation.